I would just like to introduce you now to the new project that is a collaboration with Richard, Rob and Sue. During my work at the Ablet, I had some inspiring dialogues with Richard which excited me to the potential of our collaboration. In September, building upon the work being completed at the Ablet, I applied for a research and development fund from SAFLE to collaborate with Richard further. I'm excited about the potential and energy for this collaboration and would like to capitalise on this to drive the research forward. Our innovative collaboration would push the boundaries associated with mental health issues and would provide an opportunity to creatively respond to some groundbreaking research and build on the success of the residency. The proposal to SAFLE was successful, and we've now been joined by Sue and Rob in applying for match funding to the North Wales Clinical School. This bid is called In-Betweenness, using art to capture changes to the self during antidepressant treatment. And as collaborators, we are proposing new perspectives into effects of antidepressant medication. So I'd just like to give you a bit of the background to Richard and Rob's research. Richard Tranter is linked into various large-scale research projects in the field of affective disorders and psychosis, and is keen to extend his PhD work on the psychological and social effects of antidepressants through questioning how processes of constructions, experience and realities of ourselves can be influenced through medication. Rob Poole is a social psychiatrist who is interested in disadvantaged populations and the relationship between social inequality and severe mental illness, and also the relationship between mental illness and creativity. Scientists know that antidepressants subtly alter the way people perceive emotional stimuli, and so we are therefore discussing using this approach to be incorporated in some of the before and after medication type studies that Betsy Cadwallader University Health Board have previously completed, and which could make for a really interesting project. So through arts and science research, we are therefore interested to explore if patient changes are reflected in a way people express themselves and respond to their environment prior, during and post antidepressant medication. And I'd just like to introduce you to a couple of small film clips at the moment. The first one is a discussion which includes the four of us, and I just start to talk about what as artists our driving forces and what our passion is. Rob is talking about it being an area which is quite daunting but really exciting and a different way forward for mental health treatment.
I think you focus on what you're really interested in, don't you? I mean, that's the way around it, isn't it? You know, have a real passion for it, really. Otherwise, you'll just run out of steam.
Yes, because it takes a
yeah.
There is a degree of daunting complexity embedded in this, but I think that's more than a way, by a really exciting, different kind of way of thinking about the experience of having mental health treatment and the ability to put together the subjective with the reductionist, really, with reductionist objectivity. Yeah, that's a really, to me, as someone who reads the very dry papers that are published in the journals, it's a really exciting prospect.
So just to continue a little bit further, the collaborative arts and science practice will explore these interests through creative, patient-led, artistic expressions of change, alongside conventional reductionist measures of changing depressive symptoms using the Beck Depression Inventory to produce some sophisticated fusions of art and science. And I'd just like to introduce you now to the second clip where the four of us have been talking about the experience, about the project from an artist and a scientist perspective, and Richard continues the conversation talking about the patient experience, and Rob is talking about the triangle between artists, scientists and patients all feeding back to one another.
And then there's a third element to that, which is the most important is then actually the person's
Yes.
subject.
Yes,
So
yeah,
what do they actually?
yes.
And what do they? Because there's an even more peculiar process going
Yes.
on, because I mean, for ourselves, we are in a way looking at this object,
Yeah,
but for the person, they are also in a way, on one level they are the object or the subject. They on one level they will have their own conscious perceptions of what's happening in the same way that we do, and make their own conscious judgments, hypotheses and stuff. But it may also for them trigger, by looking at the images that they produce, it may actually for them trigger sort of insights as to processes that may be quite subconscious ones to them, but they weren't consciously aware of what's happening.
But if you're really going to triangulate it, it isn't just a question of getting each of the three to say what they take from it. There's also a thing about feeding back the other perception.
yeah,
So you've got something a bit more iterative
Yes.
going on, and somewhere in this, because I mean this is quite exploratory stuff, and you never quite know where it's going to take you, but there's at least a hint of an ability to do something that's reproducible in this, that can produce stuff that isn't just interesting, but is more systematic, and that's a really interesting idea.
So the difference between this research and the current project at the Ablett is that the work at the Ablett has only allowed us access to patients who are on or adjusting to medication. This proposal will build upon and add to the work being completed at the Ablett. The research and development will therefore ultimately produce a more complex and sophisticated set of artworks which will sensitively address complicated issues of truth, self and identity. Therefore, in considering how to develop the residency and amalgamate imagery and text, we propose to produce creative outputs which will incorporate live performances consisting of projected films and self-composed recited text. And I'd just like to close the presentation with thanking you very much for listening. I'm really sorry that we've been unable to join you today in Chicago, and would just like to leave you with some possible statements or questions for discussion. You might have others that you might want to consider, but it is just to give you, some possible ideas, such as how does creativity relate to mental health, and how does a search for the poetic help mental health patients? What are the benefits of arts and science research projects, and how can artists make a difference to social science qualitative research projects? How do we construct our realities? Can this process be manipulated through medications? And if so, what are the implications for the authenticity of self for someone who has such treatment? I'd just like to end with, there's a few references here, and to thank you very much. And there's our details, so if anybody wants to get in touch, we'd be more than happy to hear from you. Thank you.